Studying at Oxford, you have access to a huge range of unique historical documents, which you can use for your learning and research. As well as the Bodleian's collections, almost all colleges have an institutional archive comprising documents about the running of the college and college life over the course of its history. Most also have special collections which might include early printed and other rare books, medieval and modern manuscripts, personal papers such as letters and diaries of families connected with the college, and artworks and objects. These collections have often built up over time from many different sources, and so might be more various than you would imagine.
Hello, I'm James Howarth. I am the librarian here at St Edmund Hall, or Teddy Hall.
Hello, I'm Fiona Wilson. I'm the college librarian at Keble.
Hi, I'm Matt Shaw, the librarian at the Queen's College.
Hello, I'm Bethany. I'm the archivist at Balliol College.
Hello, I'm Sarah Cusk and I'm the antiquarian cataloguer at Lincoln College.
I'm Stuart. I'm the librarian at Balliol.
Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm the librarian here at Lady Margaret Hall. First, do some research online about the different collections open to you. The A to Z of College Libraries LibGuide has a list of all of the libraries and a link to their website. The Oxford College Archives Consortium website has a similar thing for archival materials. From these you can find out what collections are available, when you can visit them and how to make an appointment.
Use catalogues to find things that you might be interested in seeing in the Oxford College libraries. Many of the rare books in college libraries are catalogued onto Solo.
Once you've found your record on Solo, you can see details about a particular edition of a book. If you click on the library listed at the bottom of the record, you can find details about that individual copy. For example, the binding, marginal annotations, previous owners, and book plates.
This is our copy of the what are called the Laudian statutes. So they're the rules, essentially, of the university that were issued in the 1630s. Every college and hall was given a copy, but every copy is actually slightly different, and ours in particular has some rather fun things. At the back, we have some college-specific information recorded, including this, which is the original oath of admission to the St Edmund Hall Library. And here is the lecture timetable for around 1685. So, for example, 8 o'clock on a Monday morning, there's rhetoric and logic.
Some rare books are still only listed in physical catalogues, like this Garb book, for instance. If you have a particular interest, it's worth asking a librarian. Say, for example, you want to survey all the copies of a particular edition.
To find archives and manuscripts, you'll need to use a combination of digital aggregator catalogs such as National Archives Discovery, standalone catalogs both online and in print, and references to previously published research. College websites will often tell you how these collections are best searched, but it's absolutely fine to email or call us if you're confused.
NMH was founded to open up education for women at Oxford, and as a result we have quite a lot of books that are about women's collections. We've got a lot of books about the history of women in Oxford University, but we've also got broader things like this magazine called the Barnacle magazine. This is a 19th century fanzine made by a group of young girls, upper middle class, who are all friends, relatives and huge fans of the author Charlotte Mary Yonge. They're all making stories and articles in her style, and then they're getting them hand bound and distributed down a list of them. One of them reads it and then posts it onto the next one and the next one.
It's always worth seeing what has been digitised. A lot of things are available on digital Bodleian, including some of the college's most exciting and interesting manuscripts and printed books. You may be asked to look at a digital facsimile rather than looking at the original to preserve it for future generations.
When you're ready to get in touch and make an appointment, or even just an inquiry from a librarian or archivist, it really helps if you can give us as much information as you can, whether that's some things you've picked out of the catalogue or what you're broadly interested in. For example, it might be a particular author or a particular genre like poetry, or maybe a period, something like the Civil War.
This is one of our manuscripts kept here at the Queen's College. It used to belong to the College of Arms, and it's heraldic manuscript showing lots of coats of arms, and this one is particularly special in that it has the first coat of arms of the City of London.
Some college collections are underexplored, so if you're looking for dissertation ideas, you may want to ask a college librarian if they have any collections or donors within your period or area of interest that might repay further study.
When you make an appointment, give as much notice as possible. Booking an appointment several weeks in advance is normal. This is because we have lots of researchers coming to see these collections. And at some colleges, there might only be one person to facilitate access to the archives or special collections, and that person might only work part-time. So let us know as soon as possible if you don't need your appointment anymore, if you need to rearrange.
One of my favourite books in Lincoln's collection is a 16th century edition of a work that was originally written in Arabic in the 13th century. The work is by an author who was known in the 16th century as Albahazen Hali, and it's called De Judiciis Astrorum. It's a work of astronomy or astrology. And as you can see from the title page here, there's quite a lot going on in this book. If you look at the title page here, you can see that a previous owner of the book has written something, probably their name, all over the title page and then scribbled it out. I wish I could read it. I can read a little bit. Under there it says Thomas Copley. So part of my job is to work out who that is. There's also a shelf mark I can identify there. Part of my job again is to work out what that shelf mark tells us about the history of the book. There are other kinds of evidence in this book as well. There's a beautiful binding done in Oxford in the 16th century, which tells me that although the book was printed in Basel in Switzerland, probably a decade later it found its way to Oxford and it was bound in Oxford. As part of the binding, pieces of waste paper were used, and the waste paper now is as interesting as the book itself.
This manuscript is a New Testament from around the year 1300, and it's thought to come from a monastery belonging to the Order of the Teutonic Knights. This volume has some great historiated initials which illustrate the book of the Bible that they precede. This one shows St. Luke. He's sharpening his quill pen as he begins to write, and you can even see in a sort of speech bubble for the book the words that he's writing.
Hello, my name is Emily Burgoyne and I am the Angus Librarian, and I work with the fantastic collection in the Angus Library and Archive.
And I'm Rebecca Shuttleworth. I'm the Library Assistant and we work here together at Regent's Park College.
Hello, I'm Emma Sillett and I'm the Librarian at Trinity College.
Hello, my name's Mark Bainbridge. I'm the Librarian of Worcester College.
Hello, I'm Lucy Gwynn. I'm one of the librarians at Magdalen College.
Hello, I'm Nigel. I'm the Assistant Librarian at Baylor College.
Hello, I'm Laura. I'm the Librarian at Pembroke College.
Hello, my name's Ruth and I'm one of the library team here at Christ Church Library. A visit to special collections is a bit more involved than a normal library visit because precautions need to be taken to take care of the collections to make sure they're available to people for years to come.
Help us look after the collections by reading any instructions you receive beforehand so you know what's expected. Here are some of the ways you can help us look after the collections.
You'll be required to bring a student ID. This might look something like your university card or a passport. You might also be required to have a letter of recommendation or email of recommendation from your tutor. When you arrive as well, you might be asked to fill out a form that could look a bit like this. This is a registration form for readers and researchers, and this helps to prevent theft but also lets decision makers in college know how our resources are being used.
Worcester College Library has about 1,000 architectural drawings dating from the 16th through to the 19th centuries. Out of these, I've chosen this, the earliest known depiction of a purpose-built indoor playhouse, so as close as you can get to the indoor theatres of Shakespeare's time. The design is thought to be by Inigo Jones. It's in the hand of his apprentice John Webb, and it's been most recently dated to the second half of the 17th century. By choosing a theatre, I'm able to tell you also that at Worcester we have around 1,200 plays printed before 1750, illustrated here by the 1671 copy of Wilson's comedy The Cheats. We have this play not only in print form, but also in this manuscript copy, an acting copy, with the licence given by Sir Henry Herbert, the master of the revels, at the end of the final page.
You leave your coats and bags in storage. This is to minimise the things that you need to take to your table. This is both for the security of the collections and to minimise any damage that could be caused. It's for the same reason that we'll ask you not to bring any food or drink in with you, as well as only using pencils.
This is a book published in 1542 in Basel in Switzerland, and it is a herbal written by a man called Leonhard Fuchs, and it's this exciting moment in the 16th century when people are writing new herbal, and what Fuchs was doing was going back to original specimens, producing new drawings and writing his own material observations on these plants. It's a really beautiful book. It's got these amazing woodcuts which have been hand coloured, and one of the exciting things about it is that it includes some plants, about 12 plants from the New World.
Handle most books and documents with clean, dry hands. If possible, on the day of your visit, try to avoid wearing hand creams. Unlike what you see on TV, we don't recommend the use of gloves for books or documents, as they can make it more difficult to feel the quality of the paper, and they increase the risk of tearing it. There are, of course, some documents which do require the use of gloves. Things like glass plate negatives, photographic prints, or these architectural drawings. If you do need to wear gloves, we'll advise you when that's necessary.
So here we have a manuscript of a Book of Psalms made by Esther Inglis for Queen Elizabeth I, and it was made in 1599. And you'll notice a gorgeous pink velvet binding with seed pearls, and on the binding here we have an image of the Tudor rose and the crown. And this we would handle with gloves on.
Use foam rests, weights and other equipment to support documents and minimise damage while handling. Don't worry if you don't have any experience handling special collections. Ask the librarians and the archivists and we'll be happy to help you.
This is one of the most interesting items in the collection at Angus Library, which is an anti-slavery commonplace book. Now, a commonplace book is kind of a scrapbook, and this was compiled by an anonymous lady, but it collects information and kind of pamphlets and newspaper articles and campaigns and pieces of artwork all around the anti-slavery campaigns in the late 18th and early 19th century. So it's a really incredible collection of items that you'd rarely see together. Here we have the first report of the Female Anti-Slavery Society. So this was a group of women who were very dissatisfied with the male approach and decided to form their own society. We have newspaper reports from Jamaica where they used the clippings from these reports that had details of runaway slaves who were identified by the marks of their punishment, and anti-slavery campaigners in England used these to show the brutality that enslaved people were subjected to.
Let us know beforehand if possible if you'd like to take photographs on your visit. Each repository will have a different policy on this. Most will let you take photographs without flash, free of charge, after you've signed the form to say that the images will be used just for research. Before you end your visit, check that your photographs have come out okay, so you don't have to make another appointment to retake them.
There may be restrictions on what you can see or quote because of rules around copyright or data protection. Take advice from librarians and archivists.
What we have here is an item from our Swinburne collection. Swinburne collection has everything by and about Swinburne, all the books ever published, including some not published, such as Feces. This is On the Cliffs, which is published by a private press called the King Library Press, and it's printed on a single piece of handmade paper. Here at Balliol we have lots of collections from our alumni. Swinburne collection is just one of those.
Make sure you make notes on what you've seen or photographed, and if you're not sure about the reference number for an item from the catalogue, then just ask. That way, if you do decide to go back and write about the item properly, you'll be able to reference it and create a really strong paper trail for future researchers.
So this book probably isn't the most obvious choice out of the Danson Library's dazzling collection, but it does pose a question about why it ended up in this collection in the first place. The first clue is the subject. It's John Briggs's Remains, or Literary Works. It's published in 1825 and it's about the Lake District. Provenence, or the ownership of this book, gets more exciting when we look at the title page. There's an ownership inscription here at the top of the title, and it says capital W, superscript or little m, Wordsworth. So this book was formerly owned by the Lake District poet William Wordsworth. And the other thing that makes this book really interesting is the binding. A number of these books owned by Romantic English writers were bound in dressmakers' fabric by the women in their intellectual circles, such as Dora Wordsworth, for example. And this is one example of that.
So these were given to Pembroke by one of our alumni called Athelstan Riley. Yes, that's his real name. And he was a hymn writer, and he was the Church of England's envoy to the Coptic Church in Syria. And while he was out there, he bought manuscripts in Syriac. And they are from different dates. They're mostly religious, but they date from about 1200 through to about 1900.
We look forward to welcoming you at Trinity.
Teddy Hall.
Bailey Hall.
Christchurch.
Lady Margaret Hall.
Morden. Lincoln.
Keble.
The Queen's College.
Worcester College.
We look forward to seeing you in the Angus Library.